Tam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahgana Lalita Shiv Shakam Shivtamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopikant Radhakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vrindaya Tulsi Divya Priyaya Keshuvascha Vishnumukti Pratidevi Satyavate Namo Namancha Kalpaturubhishya Pasantu Bhe Vichapatitanam Pavnebhyo Vishnavibhyo Namo Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayani Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshutarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasa Rishi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Am I audible to all of you all?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Prabhu.
So, yeah, I don't need to use any microphone or anything like that, right? No.
It's clear, Prabhu. It's clear. Right now, it's clear, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, today we are trying to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first 10 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and somehow you all have requested me to speak on the first 10, a sense of, rather they club them together and speak. So I have it on a little bit on the on the PPT. I will try to share that with you, and then we will can you see this on the screen?
Yes, Prabhu. We can see it, Prabhu. If you want, you can put on the full mode, Prabhu, full slide mode.
Okay. So we are dealing with this Bhagavad Mahapuran, and we have the 10 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadisyatam Vyaditirtascha Tesha Vikya Swarat Tene Brahma Hridyadi Kavaye Mudhanti Yat Suraya Tejo Vari Mirdam Yatha Pranimaye Yatha Trishargo Misha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirashtapukkam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are meditating on Sri Krishna. The subject matter of the Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna, and why is Sri Krishna the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam? Because he is the absolute truth. That is stated here in the very first verse, to say that. And why is he the absolute truth? He is the absolute truth because he is the source of everything. So this is what will be revealed to us as we enter into the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we go and try to read the Bhagavatam, understand the Bhagavatam, we discuss the Bhagavatam, what will come out is that Krishna, or Shri Krishna, is the source of everything. From him everything comes out. Janma Adi Asya Yataha. Janma Adi, everything is sourced from him. And he, Adi Asya Yataha, Adi, everything else, he sustains everything. And unto him, finally, everything goes back. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is, the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is Shri Krishna. And why are we making Shri Krishna our source, our subject of our meditation? Is because we have, because he's the source of everything, he sustains everything, and unto him everything finally, everything goes back. Sometimes it may seem unnecessary to think, why should everything go back? Because we can see that today it is very important to also take care of where things go back. Like, for example, where does all the waste go back? If there is nothing that can take care of the waste, the whole world becomes polluted. So it is also important how he actually makes sure that everything else gets recycled back or gets back into something without creating a pollution, without causing a problem to anything. So we have, he is powerful to do that too. He is the source of everything, he sustains everything. And when everything goes back to him, he's still not changed by it. And then he's, of course, abhigya. Janmadhyasya yaton anvayad itaratasya. Anvayad, everything is sustained by him, everything is in him. So all this is, we all must have already discussed this. But here we have the subject matter in the first verse is that he is, Krishna is the absolute truth, and he is the source of our meditation because he is the source of everything, sustains everything. Everything goes back finally to him, and he is the knower of everything directly and indirectly. So that is why he is our subject matter. Next is that he is our subject matter of meditation because he is the source of all knowledge. This also we will see as we get into the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we will understand that how Sri Krishna is the source of all knowledge. He is all knowledge. He is, all knowledge comes from him. Anyone associated with him will also get all knowledge. He's Jnana Vigraha. His very form is of knowledge. As he is just like he's Ananda Vigraha, he's also Jnana Vigraha. And he is the one who gave, who is the source of all the Vedic knowledge. Brahmaji is supposed to be the one from whom all the Vedic knowledge spreads in this world, but he received his knowledge from the Lord. So therefore, he is also the source of all Vedic knowledge. And he creates this material world, which is temporary, which is here for only for a very short time. He makes us feel that it is real. It is his illusion that makes us feel that this material world, which is actually made of dead matter, it has no reality. I mean, no real existence in the sense that it does not stay for very long. But it makes us feel that this material world is real, and we actually start doing things in a real manner. And it is not just that we are bewildered by it. We will see that even great sages and demigods are also bewildered by this material world. And this is what we will see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. It is his illusion that even bewilders great sages and demigods to think that this material world, which is temporary place, to be something very important and very significant, to put in a lot of effort and get entangled in the losses and the gains of this material world. So therefore, it is his capacity to do this. But mind you, this can also be created by others. But he is the one who even creates illusions for those other great personalities and gods and demigods who are also capable of doing such illusions. So therefore, we will see how he will bewilder Lord Shiva, he will bewilder Brahma, and so many others, and Indra and others also. So many sages will get bewildered by him. So he is capable of bewildering everyone. His illusion is so great. And next is, of course, he is independent. So that is why are we doing all this? Because he is the absolute truth. He is the absolute. There is no other one, no other truth other than him. We are all subordinate truths unto him. We are a part of him, or we are energies of him, and we are all playing in his energies. It is we who are emanations from him. So he is independent. We are all dependent on him. This is another thing that we will see by meditating on the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we meditate on the Bhagavatam, as we study the Bhagavatam, as we get into the Bhagavatam, we will gradually see how the Lord is independent and everyone else in this material world is actually dependent. Anyone, not even in this material world, even in the spiritual world, everyone is dependent. And he is eternally situated in his abode, free from all illusory representations of the material world. We see also in this material world that even in the Bhagavatam, we'll see that different demigods have their abodes, they have their lokas. But their lokas are also subject to the effect of the modes of material nature. It is effect of material abodes. They are not eternally situated. They have those places, but even those places they have to leave after some time. We will see that in so many cases. We will see how Indra is always anxious about his abode, even though he has an abode. And sometimes he's removed from that position. Similarly, we see how Brahmaji, even though he was on his abode, he didn't know where he came from. So that is not just the case of, it is just not some story that is being made, but he is independent of this material world. He is completely untouched by this material world and illusions of this material world. And he's eternally situated in his abode, which is free from all such illusory representations. And thus, we meditate on that Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is the absolute truth. All other truths are relative, are all subordinate to this truth. So therefore, in this section here of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the very first opening verse, Srila Vyasadeva, who is writing this, is very clearly stating that this Srimad Bhagavatam is the subject matter is Sri Krishna, by saying Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and then very clearly explaining why he is Satyam Param Dhimahi, why is he meditating, why is this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a meditation on the Supreme Truth Lord Sri Krishna, being presented to us, because he is the absolute Satyam Param Dhimahi. And before he mentions this point of Satyam Param Dhimahi, he goes through each one of those aspects of him. You all must have already studied every aspect, every word, this very first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And you all must have also studied that the Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Sri Krishna himself. And also that the Srimad Bhagavatam is starting, or this very first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually another way of saying the Gayatri Mantra, which is also confirmed in fact two Puranas. One Purana is that of Matsya Purana, which you must have also seen, that this Srimad Bhagavatam starts in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. This very first verse is the same as the Srimad, the Gayatri Mantra that normally everyone chants. Most people with or initiated into the second mantra and second time initiation, they chant the Gayatri Mantra, or Brahmanas also chant. So this is the same almost. So therefore, it ends also with a Gayatri Mantra. I mean, a word from the Gayatri Mantra, that is Dhimahi. So Satyam Param Dhimahi. So this Dhimahi is a question of meditation. It is meditating not on something void, but on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Absolute Truth, which is the source of everything. He who sustains everything, who finally takes back everything, who maintains, who assimilates everything, who knows everything directly and indirectly. There's nothing that is not known to him. He is the source of all knowledge. He is the one who imparted the Vedic knowledge to Brahma. He creates all the illusion of this material world, even though this material world is temporary and transient, but still we tend to think of it as real and get really involved in it. And it's not only that, even great people like Brahma, Indra, even such people get bewildered by this material world. and get so much involved with this material world. And mind you, even though even such great demigods have great powers, but they are always never independent. They are always dependent. But it is Sri Krishna. We will see that as this is what Srila Vyasadeva is writing in the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we study, we enter into the Srimad Bhagavatam, we will see how Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of God, is completely independent. He's not dependent on anyone, any other personality, or any situation, or any any other factor. He does not need anyone else. He's completely dependent, and he's eternally situated in his abode, free from all illusions. Even though the other demigods, other people have their abodes, but they're all temporary. They're not permanent. And but his abode is permanent. And that abode also we will get to know from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And his abodes are free from all illusions of this material world. So this is what is the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, now, after having made us know what is the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that the Srimad Bhagavatam is going to speak about Sri Krishna, who is the absolute truth. The Srimad Bhagavatam then presents us the highest truth. And it's going to explain what the Srimad Bhagavatam is going to present the highest truth, in which way. It is going to present us the highest truth, free from all cheating religious activities. Free from cheating religious activities is a very important thing to have. It is going to present the highest absolute truth, but it's also going to give us free. I mean, it's going to make us aware of what are the different forms of religious cheating that goes on, or cheating in the name of religion that goes on. And free from materially motivated, competitive, envious activities. In this material world, we are all dealing with material things or subject matter which is finite, which is there only for some short time, and it is not infinitely available. And there's always competition for these resources. And because there is competition for these resources, there is enviousness amongst us in this material world to get something which is not available to us, or has more, someone has more than us. So this lot of religions which actually tend to talk about the competitive religion in a lot of cases is competitive also. It tries to get more people, it tries to get more followers, it tries to get more power, it tries to get more clout, different, to show that we are more superior or inferior. It is this Srimad Bhagavatam has got nothing to do with all these materially motivated, competitive, envious activities. Therefore, it is meant for the most Parama Nirmatsaranam Saram, Dharma Projita Koitapatra, Parama Nirmatsaranam Saram. It is for the Nirmatsara, who is non-envious in any way. They have none of this materially motivated, competitive nature. So they are not envious of anyone. And it is going to also help us to come up to that level. And it is free from illusions. We have so many illusions in this material world while we're living here. So many things that attract and distract our attentions, and eventually they don't last for very long. So these illusions also are not there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which presents us the highest truth, which is free from cheating religious activities, religious activities which are not truly religious. It seems like religious. It is free from material motivation, free from illusions of this material world. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, now this is the second verse, Dharma Projita Koitavatra, Paramo Nirmatsaranam Sadam, Vedyam Vastavam Atrivashtu Sivadam, Tapatre Mulanam. It's a Shivadam. Shivadam, it is for the welfare of all. This material world, no one can actually figure out how to cause welfare for everyone. We may cause welfare for the human beings, but then we are causing problem for all the other living entities in the world. We're causing problem for, I think, every 20 minutes, one species of life is getting extinct on this earth because of our activities, because of, and a kind of a notion that human beings are the only most important beings on this earth. The others are not so important. So this kind of concept has led to think that anything can be done for human beings only when you do it good for the human being, but that we also do not know whether that is good for human beings also, because we are all dependent on all other beings to survive in this world. So the Srimad Bhagavatam does not give this kind of an illusory understanding of human beings as the only ones who have the soul. In fact, there are some other so-called religious notions, cheating religious notions, which say that there is only a soul in only the human being. Animals, plants have no soul. In fact, some of these religions, even up to a few years ago, a few decades ago, even said that women also did not have a soul. They said women only have half a soul. This is kind of the idea that had, but Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita doesn't talk about such flawed welfare. No, Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the welfare of all living entities, for all, not just for human beings only, not only for the anthropocentric idea of, and because of which we are seeing that being so anthropocentric, that thinking that anthropocentric means human oriented. So thinking that human oriented, everything is oriented only for the welfare of the human beings, as if everyone, nothing else matters. No, that's not true. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the only place where the highest truth is presented for the welfare of all living entities, for every, for plants, for animals, for all souls that are struggling in this material world to come out. And then it uproots the threefold miseries, the tapatraya, adhyatmic, adhibhautik, and adhidevic kleshas. We are always under these kleshas. We are always under these difficulties, always under these pains caused by someone else. We are always in this situation. So it gradually uproots the very cause of these tapatraya, or the threefold miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam will actually be able will do this. Therefore, it presents us the highest truth, which is the cause of all welfare. We do not only are trying to deliver ourselves from material miseries, but all living entities. And because of that, the threefold miseries of this material world gradually do not affect, or will actually get uprooted by these activities. And it is sufficient. It does not, there is no need for any other book, any other scripture. In fact, it says there that there is no other need for any other literature, because this literature is so complete that it is capable of giving us complete realization of Kim Va Parerishwara. It says, sufficient to give us God realization and establish devotion in our heart. Sadaiva Hridya Abhiruddha Tetra Kritivir Shushruvish Tachana. And very soon it can give us, establishes devotion in our Shushruvish Tachana. Very fast it can give us this Srimad Bhagavatam can establish devotion in the heart for the Lord, give us God realization, make us realize who is God. So this is the second aspect of the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we have the third verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Nigamakalpataru Palitam Phalam Sukhamukadrava Samyutam. So this is the highest form of knowledge, Nigamakalpataru, of all knowledge that is there, Agama Nigama, of all the Agama Nigama, everything, it is the highest one. Nigama Kalpatarur Kalitam. Nigama is the Vedic knowledge which satisfies all forms of requirements of human beings and all living entities in this material world. And the highest form of knowledge is this Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is, so these are the three verses. First verse, talking about the subject matter, Krishna as the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the first three verses, which actually gives us an introduction or tells us what is the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what we're going to learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna as being the source of everything, so from whom everything emanates, everything is absorbed by him, who knows, who's a person who knows everything directly and indirectly, because only a person can know. Computers can't know things, they can only have information, but they cannot know things. And he's the one who's the source of all knowledge. He's one who actually gives knowledge to Brahma. And in that manner, how he's the source of all the illusion in this material world, bewilders everyone in this material world by this thing. He's the source of all illusion. He's the greatest mystique, and therefore he's the greatest truth, and therefore we meditate on him. And second verse gives us the information that this Bhagavatam is not going to be like the other books, any other form of religion which is going to deal with any form of cheating religion. Is going to give us pure religion, free from all contamination of the material world. It is not going to be materially motivated. It's not to get anything, get us in a better position in the material world, free from all illusions, cause for all welfare for everyone. It doesn't give us and makes us understand how we can get out of the threefold miseries of the material world, and sufficient to give us God realization. And then, of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest form of knowledge. It has the most relishable subject matter, free from all difficult things. Normally, knowledge requires a lot of effort, one has to be so much proficient to know things. One has to know languages, etc. One has to know Sanskrit. One has to know the typical nonches of philosophy, philosophical subject matters. So many things are required if you want to get knowledge. But Srimad Bhagavatam is not like that. It is the most relishable subject matter. It can be relished by anyone, everyone, everywhere. It is the highest form of knowledge, but it is very easily available. It is the most relishable subject matter, that is Sri Krishna, and very easily available, free from all the difficult things. Nigamakhalvaturu kalitam sukham khadrava samyutam pivata bhagavata rasamalayam mahuda aho rasika bhav. So here it is savored. The Srimad Bhagavatam is actually being tasted and relished even by those who are free from material contamination. What to speak about people who are in material contamination? We are in material contamination. We relish only things which are materially nice, which is good for us in a material sense. But then the Srimad Bhagavatam is not just for people like us who are looking for information how to be more materially, more opulent, more better positioned. No, the Srimad Bhagavatam is enjoyed by even those who are free from material contamination. When you get out of this material world, then where do we go? What is our subject matter? Those who go out of this material world, what do they actually think about? What is their subject matter of thinking? And one can see that they're not bothered about the material gains and losses of this material world. But even such people of such status, also they get attracted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are attracted because we can see some Phalashruti somewhere, or maybe this is going to help us somewhere in being getting this or that, or getting out the contaminations. One will not get bad dreams or whatever. But here it is not like that. Even those who are free from all contamination, even they relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, because so it is something which is unbelievable. Most people cannot understand what is there to be relished by those who are freed from birth, who are not bothered about birth, death, old age, and disease. What are they going to relish in the Srimad Bhagavatam? So that is the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is made even more sweeter by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. because Shukamukhadrava Samyuktam. Because once it is spoken by Shukadeva Goswami, how he speaks about Krishna, even though he's the liberated son of Veda Vyasa, who's an incarnation of the Lord, who's a literary incarnation of the Lord. He's made it even more sweeter by this. So the whole subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the sweet Sri Krishna, who is the source of everything in this material world and the spiritual world, who knows everything directly and indirectly, who can put anyone into illusion, who can deliver us from all illusion, who is free from all contamination of this material world, who has an abode of himself, which is not going to be changed or challenged by anyone. So that supreme personality, that Rasika Bhuvibhavka, one who wants to actually relish and have actually sweet experience of this world, not just fight and try to survive in this world, but actually wants to relish. Rasika Bhuvibhavka, Bhavuka means those who are even liberated, who have reached the stage by when they're no longer fighting with this material world. They also relish the Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Shukadeva. So, and then of course we have verses 4 to 10, in which we will see where was this Srimad Bhagavatam spoken. Naimishe Naimisha Kshetra. So in Naimisharanya, I think it's very close to where our Braj Prakash Prabhu comes from. Lucknow, very beautiful place. I hope everyone goes there once to see where this. And of course, there is Shukratal, another place. But Naimisharanya is very close to them. On the banks of the Gomti River, it is still pretty nice alignment there. And it was spoken by, whom was it spoken by? It was spoken by Sutta Goswami, who was a disciple of Vyasadeva, who knows about all the Vedic literatures, is already highly qualified. It was spoken by him. He has already assimilated all the Vedic literatures. Then it was spoken by him. And then it was spoken to Shaunaka and other rishis who were performing for the welfare of the whole people of Kali Yuga. In fact, that is the verse number 10. Prayana alpaisha satya kalevasmi vijana. That Srimad Bhagavatam is being spoken the beginning of Kali Yuga to the sages headed by Rishi Shaunaka and others who are so concerned about the people of Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga people will be in a lot of difficulty. And Sutta Goswami especially is qualified. Is one of his special qualifications is that he's got a long life. But the people in Kali Yuga have prayana alpa ayusha. They have a very short life, in fact. We all have very short lives. And even that short period is manda sumanda matayo. We are always in so many difficulties. We are misguided. We are disturbed. Prayana alpa ayusha sabdya kalavas mini vijanaha. Manda, very dull-headed. Manda, sumanda, so many people, as we see today, most people are so dull-headed. By the time they're, in their youth, they are already getting addicted to so many useless things. The first thing that people are getting addicted to is mobile phones and computers and internet and video games. And then they're addicted to so many other things. In India, everyone practically goes around. You can see everyone with this gutka and or pan masala and this and that, and some tobacco and pan and cigarettes and all kinds of stupid things around here. Everyone is addicted, and of course, everyone is addicted to sex life. So they're all manda. They are very dull-headed people. And then in India, another big addiction is cricket. And then after cricket, it is football and this and that. It is such useless things people are addicted to. So manda, they're all manda. They don't know what they should be addicted to. Manda, sumanda matayo. They're always misguided. Sumanda matayo, manda bhagya hi upadrutaha. And their minds are always disturbed. Manda bhagya hi. They are very unfortunate people. So this is how this age of Kali, people are um, here. So, this is in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Shaunaka rishis were sitting down to perform yajna so that in Kali Yuga some good thing can happen. And there they have requested Suta Goswami to speak from his vast knowledge of what is the best thing that can be for people, the best form of knowledge, the best form of religion that can actually help everyone in this material world, especially in the age of Kali. What we can do to do welfare. So this is for the welfare of everyone, especially for us in the age of Kali. So this is how, this is the first 10 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If I can get into one aspect of this whole thing, which I think is very important to understand, is what is cheating religion, and what is religion which is free from cheating, which is, I think, a very important point. So if you kindly permit me, I will just touch on that point. Raj Prakash Prabhu, is it okay if I touch that?
Please, Prabhu. Please, Prabhu, please.
Okay. So we will try to see what religion is, and what is cheating religion, and what is religion that is free from all cheating religion. And we will, we have, I mean, it's an amazing thing that it is that we have the opportunity of being given by Srila Prabhupada to know this. First and foremost, why is there a need for religion in human society? Let us try to understand that from. So Prabhupada writes this. I will just read a part of this purport, not the whole thing, so as to kind of get a grip on this. Religion includes four primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally liberation from material bondage. So this is what is called religion. Religion is basically dharma. One performs pious activities so that, and then there is activities of economic development, which is with pious activities we get some economic development. And then with economic development, and we talk about artha, and then kama, and then moksha. So this is called religious life. Now, irreligious life is barbarous condition. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. Now, why are these five subject matters called religious activities? Four subject matters called religious activities. Now, the point is that how does religion begin? Prabhupada is mentioning eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating are four principles of animal life. These are common both for animals and to human beings. So, ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithuna is common for all of us, for all animals and human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than an animal life. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self-realization, which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. So religion is that which makes us understand our relationship with God. Someone that is above us, someone who's there to take care of us. So now we will try to understand what is religion. In lower stages of human civilization, there is always competition to lord it over material nature. Or in other words, there is continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. So there is rivalry, and we are always, the subject matter of most of us in our life is how to satisfy our senses. And to do that, we got to get a job. To get a job, we have to sit for studies. We have to go to colleges. We have to get good marks. We have to then go to different institutions to get a job. There'll be so many people coming for a job. We will all try to get a job. So this is the very nature of this material world. There is always rivalry to satisfy the senses. And then once you get a job, then you have to get a house, then you have to get a spouse. Then you have to see where you to stay, what things to buy. It is always going on. This is how things are going on. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. So when all this competition is going on to survive in this material world, human being, turns to religion. Now, what is religion for? He thus performs pious activities or religious functions to gain something material. He knows that everyone in this material world, when there is competition, we have to have some rules and regulations of a fair play in the game. Just like in a game of cricket or football, there are some rules by which it has to be played. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to do anything. Similarly, when everyone is competing for the resources of this material world, there has to be some rules of how to live in this world. If everyone is just trying to, pull things, get things here, there, somehow snatch it, kill him, get your things, then it's going to be very difficult for us to survive in this world, in this material world. So we need, because of this constant problem that we have, the rivalry to satisfy the senses that is going on. There's so much rivalry to go. So we need to turn to religion to see how we can, live in this world of rivalry with some kind of sanity of some kind of rules and regulations. And then he mainly does this because he needs something material. He understands that he needs this, but performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. He says, there is competition. So how can I overcome this competition? In which way can I overcome this competition? Everyone is going for exams. Everyone wants good marks. So maybe I should also go and pray to somewhere and then get something more than that, because he's always harassed by this competition. But if such material gains are obtained in some other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. So normally, this is how people go to religion, because there is some competition, and to get out of this competition, to find a way out of this competition, we find some ways to come out of it. So, but when these same things are available in some other manner, as Prabhupada writes, this is the situation. But if such material gains are obtainable in some other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. This is the situation in modern civilization. Man is thriving economically, so at present, he's not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in the religious places which were erected by his forefathers. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Often one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification. He takes to salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme. Consequently, these are different types. These states are simply different types of sense gratification. So, religion is seen as something to better our material life. Get rid of the competition. We need rules and regulations to survive in this world. We need rules and regulations to get the resources properly. We want to have these things. So when we need those things, then we want some rules. So that is how people come to religion. People try to get, somehow corner the resources in a better way by these so-called religious activities, by this being harassed by so much rivalry. There's so much difficulty to get all these things going. So therefore, they actually turn to religion to see how to get these things in a better way. We need some rules, regulations. We need some help also. Praying for better health. It's difficult to get things. So all these are the reasons why people go to religion. But none of these are actually. So therefore, it says in the Vedas, the above mentioned 4 activities are prescribed in regulative way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. Because there is a tendency for sense gratification, there is so much competition for sense gratification. So the Vedas, most religious activities, including the Vedas, prescribe ways in which the regulated way of having sense gratification, which will regulate the way, not just go out and just snatch someone and bring a spouse from somewhere and just, do no, whenever you want anything, there is some rules and regulations. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. So this rules and regulations, the Vedas, the above mentioned Vedas, 4 activities are prescribed in regulative way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. So because everyone needs the resources, now how do we regulate these resources? How do we regulate the need for these resources? How to do it? There are systems being made, and the Vedas help us to get that. So this is called the normal course of religion. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratification activities. Therefore, it is not going to give us things, which is how to get our resources in a better way, how to regulate our lives in a better way, so that there's no longer undue sense gratification. No, this is above that. This is to create a competition-less society, where people are no longer bothered about this competition and the competition of resources, but it is at a much higher level. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is not like the other literatures that are there in the world. Most literatures actually are actually meant for regulating life, regulating the competition for sense gratification, and animalistic life to be regulated. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is taking us to another level of subject matter, which is Sri Krishna, who is transcendental to this material world, who's one who's actually running this whole material world, and under whose play we are all thinking that this material world it's so important. No, it is much more different than what it is. And to introduce us to that aspect, where to a world of which is non-dying, which is eternal, where the Lord is always enjoying in this abode in so many ways, and which is relishable, and it is only where those who are liberated, who are no longer in this material competition for resources, for sense gratification, where such people are relishing and can actually associate with the Lord in that manner. So that is the subject matter of our Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore we have that as a beginning of the first 3 verses, and then we have the description of the of Kali Yuga and the people of Kali Yuga. And Srila Prabhupada's purport, of course, in the 10th verse, gives us an elaborate description of what is happening in Kali Yuga, how people are getting, he's going through each one of those points, how people are having, why do we have short lives in this age of Kali? Prabhupada says it is not because of lack of resources that we are having, because of irregular habits that we have. Kali Yuga is in Kali Yuga we have short lives. And Prabhupada there writes 6 points there in the 10th verse, the purport. He says 6 points, which I could say is the, if we can just teach our children the six points, then I think we would be fully educating them. In fact, first 2 being how to lead a good and healthy life. Anyone can maintain their health, Prabhupada writes, if we are regulated in our habits and eat simple food. And then 4 things which sap the very vitality of human energy. He says there, no over-sense gratification. It's over-sense gratification that is sapping the very vitality of people of Kali Yuga. They have no regulation. So as we saw here in the 2nd verse, dharma projyata koita vatro. It is even regulated sense gratification, which is good, is considered, I mean, it is such high as the level of Srimad Bhagavatam that even such things are considered as cheating. Whereas it is an important aspect of life. So it is much above, once one is regulated, then one can actually understand Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very, very high form of literature that we've been given. So therefore, we have to be very careful to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is for different stages and different people of different levels altogether. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have, of course, in the first verses, how to deal with a person who is spiritually elevated. How can we actually become spiritually elevated? But we see how Sutta Goswami became qualified, and how the sages of Naimisharanya are actually glorifying him and how they're treating him. So that is how they have been, we've been given. So in the 4 points that sap the very vitality of human energy in Kali Yuga are oversense gratification, overeating. There's no need to overeat, but there's constantly an endeavor for overeating. And that saps the very vitality of human energy. It makes a brain very dull, it makes a person very lethargic when one eats more than what he requires or does oversense gratification. And he's unable to use his brain then his activities for self-realization. Then over-dependence on another's mercy. Srila Prabhupada writes there, over-dependence on another's mercy. To be dependent on someone else for our living. We do not know what to do with ourselves. We are not trained. We are always dependent on someone to live. For everything, for our food, for our water, for our electricity, for our for everything practically, we are dependent on someone else. Whereas, and that saps the very vitality of human energy. One becomes, again, more and more incapable of doing anything with his life. So it saps the vitality of human energy, and the vitality of human energy is to actually be self-realized. And then the last thing is artificial standards of living. We are living with so many artificial things which we don't even need at all, absolutely not required. But we are creating that as a necessity today. Today, the necessity is not good food, good water, and other things like that. But we are more concerned about something else, some other stuff, clothing and this and that, and soaps. I'm amazed at the kind of advertisements that soap and cement and things like that get in this world today, whereas those are not even so important for us. So this is how in Kali Yuga people are diverted from there, and therefore they have short lives, and then they're disturbed. Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes a whole list of things there in the 10th, how people are getting victims of so many political parties. Politics is so important for people today, even though it has got nothing, it has got no consequence in their life. But people are so involved in politics. And then there's so many types of sense gratification diversions that are there. And then all the religions are also coming in there and promoting all kinds of faiths, trying to make us understand. Like, for example, I was mentioning that
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhuji, we're not able to hear you, Prabhu. Vasanta Prabhu, Prabhuji has again rejoined, so please make him co-host.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Please, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, the electricity went off here, so I I'm in almost in darkness. So yes, I think I will end this thing here. There's some kind of load shedding here, so therefore we are out of it, out of light here.
But you have given so much light to all of us, Prabhu.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. I'm only giving more darkness.
It was so wonderful, Prabhu, to hear from you. It's always so purifying and learning from you, Prabhu, when we hear from you. And as you mentioned about this competition-free society, a different perspective, actually. It's very nice perspective you have presented, Prabhuji, for all of us. And also when you give at the end, that for this sixth aspect, if we can learn, we can teach to our children, and ourselves also. So that would be really great, Prabhuji. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Prabhu, can we take a couple of questions if you have a time, Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Okay. If any devotee is having a question, please raise your hand so we can unmute you. Prabhu, in the meantime, Prabhu, I have one question. Prabhu, you mentioned about that when we are reading the second verse, the word came Shivadam, and you mentioned about the welfare for all living entities.
Yes.
And we also see, Prabhu, even like in devotee community also, so sometime, okay, human being, and because we hear so much glorification of mother cows, so it extends to mother cows. But practically, what a devotee can do, Prabhu, for just to having concern for the all living entities. So, what practically the practical aspect, how it can be done, Prabhu?
In the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, first and foremost, we have to understand in the Srimad Bhagavatam that all living entities have life and they have a soul, and they're all in a journey to